I just like to take a common sense approach to things. I think, I like the fact there is a qualification system. I think it shouldn't just be enough to register and be able to do a world title. You should have to qualify. But I think we need to be very careful. What is the goal? The goal should be to have the best athletes there in their best shape. That should be the goal. And then put that in place and work backwards from there, or what you have to do to make that happen. I think one thing you don't want to do is over-race the athletes or injure them. And I know people will say the onus is on the athletes, and it is. There should be a lot of accountability on the athletes to schedule their season the right way. That being said, the emphasis should be on quality, not quantity, because there's always going to be guys and girls out there who go and race 10 Ironmans a year and get 10th in all of them. Why should they get a spot over someone who wins one? I mean, you want to reward great performance. You want to reward someone who actually steps up and wins a race. I think if it's we tweaked it a little bit. Obviously, I'm an ambassador this year, and we had a meeting, and I felt the 1,000 races were kind of a non-event. There should be 3 levels: the championships, then the world championships, regional championships, and then the rest. And if you win one of the 2,000, that should almost be in. I think if you've won something, you should get in. We want winners. We want to encourage people to win, not to turn up at a regional championship and get 12th, and that gets more points, and somehow then you get in the back door. Things are black and white to me. You want the best people there in their best shape, and there has to be some sort of quality control. It's not enough to go around and do 12 races and get 10th in all of them and get in over someone who won one. And people always say, well, you need to schedule your season. You do, but you also need to take a long-term view and think, he's doing 2 or 3 Ironmans a year healthy. No, I don't think it is. If you do them the right way, it's definitely not. If you're trying to bike 420 and run 240, you've got one in you a year at that level. So, and I defy anyone to prove me wrong. Let me see someone perform at that level all year, and then I'll change my opinion, but you never do. So, I think we made some changes. There's still a ways to go. Personally, I kind of think 1 Ironman should be enough. And if you have a great Kona, that should be enough for the next year. Maybe you have to top up your points with a couple of 70.3s. That being said, you don't want to disadvantage people who have missed Kona either. So if you don't do Kona, you should schedule your season the next year to do a regional championship and do one early. Do Melbourne or do Frankfurt. And if you have a great race there, then you're back in the game. And you shouldn't be disadvantaged because you didn't do Kona. I kind of think having 2 Ironmans count as too many. That's my opinion. I think one Ironman should count, and if you have a great race at the World Championships, well then that should count for a lot, because that's the race with the best competition. It's all in good to say, well, I went sub-8 in this race and I did that. Who cares? How did you go when everybody was there, when everybody was actually in great shape? And if you do well there, kudos to you. You have a big step up to qualifying for next year. But if you weren't there, go and do a regional championship, a Melbourne or a Frankfurt, and perform well, and then you'll be back in the game as well. So I think, there's a lot of opposition. People say that 70.3 shouldn't count towards Kona qualification. I don't understand why not. I think history's shown that people who come up through the shorter distances do well in Kona. I was one of them. Sebastian Kinley last year, Marinda Carfrae, Sam McGlone. The list goes on and on. Right. So I don't think it's important that you have to have done an Ironman to be competitive in Kona. We just want the best people there, wherever they come from. That should be the goal.